What's up guys, it's Au5. I just did a remix of Black and Yellow by Wiz Khalifa. I sent it to a few of my friends and they freaked out and begged me to do this walkthrough. So today I'm gonna break down some of the craziest things that I did inside of this remix. I also included a free download with something from this tutorial, but you have to watch it all the way through so you can find out what it is and how you can get it. If you wanna hear the full song, I'll be playing it at the end. By the way, this video is sponsored by the Alien Weapon walkthrough that I did with Dawnation. It is a full course where I break down my song Alien Weapon, released on Excision's label Subsidia. I talk more about that at the end of this video. Unless you can't wait until then, there's a link in the description where you can find out more. Without further ado, here's my remix of Black and Yellow. Alright, so the first thing I did was I found an instrumental and I found the clean version of the song. To extract the acapella, what I had to do was gain match these and then aligning them as close to sample perfect as possible. So once I lined them up perfectly, I phase inverted one. Playback will sound like this. Yeah, you know what it is. Here's the instrumental. Here's the vocal. Yeah, and then combined, the instrumentals phase cancel each other out. Yeah. You know what it and you get mostly the vocal. Yeah, you know what it is. Everything I do it big. But there's still some nasty artifacts on the top, so what I ended up doing was tossing Ozone 9 on master using the master rebalance module, and I had it set to focus vocals and I just cranked the gain. So what this is going to do is going to detect what sounds like vocals, and then I'm going to set the output to -9 so we can effectively reduce the instrumental by 9 decibels. Yeah, you know what it is. And I just duplicated it out a couple more times. Yeah, you know what it is. Everything I do it big. And it turned out pretty clean, especially the verses. Yellow paint. I hear they're scared of it, but them pros ain't. So once I did that, I rendered this out as a single file, and then I tossed it into my session. Once I tossed the vocal in, I decided to warp it and then bring it up to 175 BPM as opposed to 164 as it is in the original song. So I decided to create a similar drum beat. Just the kicks and snares. For the kick, I'm using kick 2, and I'm using a little bit of the original kick transient from the song. Kick 2 is a really dope plugin that can create really clean, super punchy kicks. You have full control over the pitch envelope. It's really fantastic. And for the snare, this is a snare from Alien Weapon. This snare is available in my Alien Weapon sample pack. I just layered that with a operator transient that I made. So here's a layer, here's the Alien Weapon snare, and then that's also occasionally layered with this snare tail, and then this clap sample. So combined, get this really nice punchy snare. And for the tops, the hi-hats, I brought in 8 different random samples from this Kotek pack. I grouped them all together, and then I put an auto pan drum bus and then an EQ8 to filter them and create some volume articulation. So without the filtering, it sounds like this. Playing them randomly, really. Auto pan and drum bus, get that panning, and then EQ8 cleans it up. Started experimenting with some bass lines. A lot of stuff going on. I pretty much just started out with this Uber Gloss track, and this is just a bunch of sound design jams that I did, and I pretty much just scrubbed through them, found some cool sounds and textures and articulations that I thought sounded good over the drums. So that's just, it just gives it some texture, it gives it some flow off the bat, and I kind of just springboarded from there. I have this razor bass going on in the verses, just using the low pass comb peak filter informant, and layered that with this serum pluck, which is really just a high-passed saw wave with a bunch of unison, some compression, EQ, and then some low-pass filtering. And then I added some erosion, some EQing and whatnot, compression and distortion to get that thick, kind of mid-tempo-y bass tone. And combined, it sounds like this. Also, I got this 808 bass going on here, and that works well with the drums. I am using just an operator with a little bit of pitch enveloping, It's basically just a sine wave, add some erosion for that noise. Gives it that nice grit. And then I'm actually using multiband dynamics, and this is so I can multiband sidechain just this sub band with my kick drum. You can get a much more transparent sidechain effect if you use multiband sidechaining with your drums. Basically, it's just going to cut out the sub whenever there is sub in your drums. In this case, the sub of the kick cuts out the sub of the 808. If you turn your time factor really low, then it's very responsive. It's very quick. You can play your kick and your 808 simultaneously, and it doesn't really sound like it's sidechained in the mix. It sounds like it's one thing. I have a bunch of little bass bits going on in the verses. This little growl in the verse. I have a little gun cock in there. This sound, this is actually a kick drum from the Alien Weapon sample pack, and I stretched it out and I used texture mode and then used some transposition modulation on the clip. So originally it sounded like this. And get that sound. For the vocal, I'm doing some cool vocoder sounding stuff. I have a parallel chain and I have Synaptic Morph. And this plugin allows me to take a sidechain signal, in this case, these chords made with Serum. I can switch on and off the Morph plugin with a chain selector, switching between a dry chain and then this morphed chain. It allows me to get effects like this. The original chords from Serum sound like this. For the synths, the chords that I have going on here, this is mostly just Dune. Dune is awesome because you can just create insanely high voice supersols. I'm doing this little reverb throw thing. That's with Valhalla Vintage Verb. Play a little chord stab and then I automate the mix up. And then I got some melody plucks going on here. This is also Dune. And then I have this bell and string layer, which is Symphobia. Then I'm just using operator and some reverb for the bell pluck. And I have these square plucks going on. I also have these trap snares. I just tossed the 808 snare into Ableton Sampler. And then for this big drop, this Uber Gloss track is really just a home for all of my bass design jam samples that I just toss in here. I have this noisy saw. This really messy Reese sound. These two sounds layered together. This is just a heavily compressed, resampled version of this sound here, which I made in Serum. And this is the free download that you get in the description. I have everything macroed. You can do some comb filter tweaking, FM tweaking, some scream. And you can just change the LFO rate. Just resampled that and put that into audio and then just kind of arranged the audio accordingly. And then this sound here is the blaster. I got a sine wave sub going on, and then this is really just a couple sine wave harmonics, full on hard clipped with the distortion. I also have this sound in here, this little backspin. Then I have this weird Reese here, which is really just this bass down here that I made in Serum. And then just toss it into a sampler, constrained it to a short loop, and then change the loop start position. I got some cool effects on there like Ubic G, giving it that grain shift effect. And then I'm just abusing Soothe. That's what it sounded like before, and then I added Soothe, but I switched it to Delta mode, so it essentially is a spectral gate at this point. That's what it's usually doing. It's cutting out all those frequency peaks that you see, but then if I switch it to Delta mode, it's only allowing those frequency peaks that it's cutting out to come through, and then you can saturate that even more and get this just really cool effect. I'm also changing up this growl using a grain delay and tuning the frequency to the fundamental, and then just changing the pitch, and that kind of makes it so it's a formant shifter. So, and then for this blaster, I'm changing the timbre a little bit because I'm doing a couple things. I am switching it from oscillator A to oscillator B with an automation. Without the hard clip, it sounds like this. Pretty much just sounds like a really hollow bell sound with a sub. And then, yeah, when you hard clip it, you get that crazy blaster effect. I'm also using this plugin by Melda Production called M Transformer, and this thing is really cool because it's basically a frequency remapper. This is a transfer curve that it lets you transpose any frequency to another frequency without it. I like the sound of it when you distort the frequency transfer curve a little bit because you can get some really cool dissonant effects going on. This is what it sounds like all together.
Yeah, you know what it is. Black and yellow, black and yellow.
Au5 remix.
Yeah, you know what it is. Black and yellow, yeah, you know what it is. Everything I do, I do it big. Screaming that stuff when I pulled off the lot. That stuff. Up in my town, see me, you know everything. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. I'm playing down to my diamonds, I've been black and yellow, black stripe, yellow paint. I hear they scared of it, but them pros ain't. Soon as I hit the club, look at them face. Hit the pedal once, make the floor shake. Sway inside, my engine roaring. It's the big boy, you know what I paid for it. And I got the pedal to the metal. Got you by her chicken game, I'm all in it. Hear them haters talk, but there's nothing you can tell them. Just made $1 million, got another $1 million in the schedule. No love for him, boy, I'm breaking hearts. No keys, push to start. Yeah, you know what it is. Everything I do, I do it big. Screaming that stuff when I pulled off the lot. That stuff. Rep in my town, when you see me, you know everything. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. I put it down from the whip to my diamonds. I'm in black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Like I mentioned at the beginning, this video is sponsored by the alien weapon walkthrough that I did with Dollnation. It's like this tutorial, except much more in depth as I break down every single sound in the song from the beginning to the end. And you also get the option to get a sample pack, as well as the full project files. So if you want to learn more about that, click the link in the description. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.